All right, it seems like I'm back. Um, Sorry about that interruption if you were here a minute ago, Terrence. Hope you're still there. Let me play for you here. See if we can get this thing happening again. Little autumn leaves. Welcome. Uh, Hope there's somebody out there. Let's see what's telling me. Two viewers. Wow. All right. Well, better than no viewers. Whoever you are, feel free to chat, say hello, so I know who I'm talking to. Glad you're out there. So that was a little autumn leaves, and in case you don't know the song, I just thought I would put this up for a minute so you can see, hopefully, in just a sec, the chord change, so we can talk a little bit about how we might want to approach this song. You know what? Yeah, let me do that. So here's the tune. Maybe we'll just concentrate on the A section, this first part. I'm just going to leave that there. No, you can't see that. I'm sorry. Now maybe you can see that. Autumn leaves. So we're just going to focus on the first part of the song, which is from here down to here. That's a 16 bar section of the tune. And we're just going to leave that there for a second. If you don't have this, if you don't know the song, or if you don't have this in a fake book, go ahead and take a screenshot. Shift Command 4 on your Mac if you're using a Mac, and then you can use the cursor to highlight that 16 bar section, and the screenshot will come up in the lower right hand part of your screen. Just click on it, and then you'll have the chart up in front of you. I know there's a delay a lot of times, so I'm just waiting on this so you hear this and have a chance to take a quick screenshot. Once again, Shift Command 4. That'll give you a cursor. You can highlight the 16 bars. You'll hear a click, and then excuse me, the graphic, the screenshot should show up in your lower right-hand corner, and then you can open it up, and you've got half the tune on your screen. While you're doing that, I am going to go over to Facebook and see if I can't get some more people over here. Thanks for hanging in there. I'm not so fast with some of this tech stuff. Just trying to give people a URL, Facebook people, a place to go so they can find us and we get some more interaction. There we go. Alrighty. Francesco, hey, how are you, man? Glad you're here. Hopefully that little Facebook plug will get some folks to join us over here. We'll see in a minute. Alright, I'm going to get rid of this autumn leaves chart for now. Well, actually, I'm going to bring it back and let's talk about this for a minute, because it's kind of important. So when I think about this tune, we can sort of think about or analyze these changes, right? We got 2, 5, 1 in B flat, and then it goes to E flat, the 4 chord. And then we've got 2, 5 in G minor. This is a minor 2, 5. So one first thing to think about is, or at least a good initial point, I think, depending on your level, and I'm sort of gearing this towards beginning / intermediate improvisers. If you're really advanced, then this is a bore. I understand. We'll see on another live stream. But in any case, here's a way in that makes it easier. Most people have trouble keeping track of changes and also figuring out how to play intelligently because they try to play too much. So since the changes are C minor, F7, B flat, E flat, for those first bars, what you might think about doing is taking that C minor, okay, and moving it over into this F7 bar, so that really what you've got is C minor, 2, 3, 4, C minor, F7, B flat. So then, once you've done that, this bar, this second bar, just making sure I'm still sharing screen. Yes, I am. The second bar becomes where the action is. That's where you want to play. So you could easily not play in the first bar, play here, play something over the 2, 5 that gets you to B flat, and then maybe chill out over here. So instead of a 4 bars of having to play, you're thinking about playing here, maybe a little bit of a lead in, play through the B flat, maybe you get into the first beat or two, but mainly the back end of this bar and the front end of this bar, you don't want to be playing. It's too much to think about. Same thing for here. Instead of thinking of a full bar of A minor 7 and a full bar of D7 going to G, chill on this bar. Maybe play at the very end of it, but mainly think about playing, move this A minor 7 over here and slide the D over. So you're thinking mostly don't play, and then A minor to D7 to G. And then play some on the G, and then chill out in this bar a bit. So here's what that would sound like. And put the metronome so you can, on so you can keep track of what I'm doing. Actually, I'm going to slow that down a bit. And I'm going to assume you've got the changes in front of you, and get rid of that and let you watch what I'm up to. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, not much. Now. Chill. Again, so C minor, chilling. C minor to F, playing. The rest of the E flat, A minor, leave it alone. Now A minor, chill on the rest of the G minor. So I'm trying to structure where I play so I can have a little more time to prepare my thoughts, my ideas, and also I'm trying to create a sense of where is there really motion happening, right? C minor, no motion. C minor to A, F7 to B flat, lots of motion. To G, E flat, sure. Now we're going to rest, and then A minor to D7 to G minor. So you play where the action is, on the 2 5s. And by in that first bar, moving the C minor to the second bar, right, we create, or I guess it's this way, we create motion in the second bar that's concentrated. So C, C, F, B flat. That's the main thing. So nothing, C minor, F to B flat. That makes sense? C minor, F, E flat, A minor, chill, A minor to D7. Let me know if you have any questions about that. So now we might, or you might well be asking, okay, great, you've told us when to play. What is it that you're playing? So what am I playing? Let's look at that and come up with some things to tell you about. So when I play from C minor to F7, that's a 2-5, moving to B flat. The most obvious thing that you should know, sort of like a core, I think I mentioned this the other day if anybody was on, is a really good book by a fellow named Bert Ligon, Ligon, who teaches at University of North Carolina. The book is called Connecting Chords with Linear Harmony. And Bert talks about the essence of the 2-5-1. Well, we all know what the essence is, or should, that it's the 7th of C minor, resolving to the 3rd of F7, and then the 7th of F7, resolving to B flat major. So this, on C minor, this happens, and then on F7, this happens, moving to B flat. So he describes what are called 3 basic outlines that go like this. Starting from the 3rd of C minor, 7th resolving to the 3rd, 7th resolving to the 3rd. And then if you put in the flat of 9th, you get this. Okay? So if you were going to do it in time and just wanted to capture the very basic essence, you might play Okay? This is just connecting this to this with a B flat major scale. But this is what really makes the chord changes happen. Third, moving to the seventh, which resolves to the third, to the seventh, to the third. When I talk about sevenths and thirds, I'm always talking about those notes in relation to the chord that's sounding at the present moment. Okay? With the flatted ninth, a little more color. And then you can also put that note up there, and that's a classic bebop gesture. Okay? There's a couple of other ways to play these basic tension resolutions, sevenths to thirds, and that's this. So this is the first one, or the second one, we just do arpeggiate the C minor. There's the seventh, and then the rest is the same. And then the last one would be this. So the triad to the seventh, to the third, and then I chose the flatted ninth. Hope that's clear. And once again, this theory has been around forever. I'm giving credit to Bert because his book is very concise and clear and gives hundreds of examples of this stuff. But you can start to implement them. And again, if you want to buy his book, that's great. It's called Connecting Chords with Linear Harmony, and it's available on Amazon. Thank you, Bert. I give you just promotion for your work, and that way people can buy it. So, if I want to use that, okay, talking about a 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, that was sloppy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another version. Here's another rhythmic version. Here it is. Maybe a melodic version of the first one, or a little ornamented version. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wynton Kelly might say 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wynton likes doing that. But the essence of, to go back to when you play, is you're leaving that first bar open so you can lay for, prepare for 1, 2, 3, or 2, 5. B flat major. That's a quote from somewhere. That's from Woody and You. All good jazz players quote. That means they paraphrase elements of other, or little melodic portions of other songs. Dexter Gordon was famous for that, sometimes perhaps to a fault, a little bit corny at times, but hey, melodies are kind of public domain, and when you're soloing, you're looking to play melodies. So, we talked about when to play. Oh, we didn't get to the second half of the A section. So after all that, you've got, after the C minor, F7, B flat, E flat, then you've got A minor 7 with a flatted fifth, so that's A half diminished, to D7 flat 9, to G minor. So it's still a 2-5, but it's a minor 2-5, which just means the minor chord, the 2 chord rather, is a minor 7th, but with a flatted fifth. Dominant chord almost always has a flatted 9th, and then the chord of resolution is a minor 1 chord. So what do we do with that? Those patterns we worked out? Well, it's A minor, but now we're going to think that we're playing in G minor. So we're going to this key. So if we do this lick, or this series of pitches, third, seventh, third, seventh, third. So that's the same thing we did with C minor. And then here we filled it in. Well, now on A minor, when we fill it in, we're going to use the notes from G minor. So instead of playing this, ooh, too sharp, too bright, we're in minor. And here we have to use the flat 9. We don't even have this option. It doesn't sound right going to G minor. Flatted 9. So here's our whole pattern. And then if we take the 4-bar phrase and we think of it in time, we're going to do that same thing where we move the A minor 7 flat 5 into the second bar. So we play A minor 7, but we rest, and then A minor 7, D7 to G. So it sounds, the chords will be like this, a little fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, A minor, D7, G. Slow it down even a little more for you. 1, A minor, D7 flat 9, G minor 6. So with the lick, I'm not going to play in that first bar. Here's some of the other ideas, the other versions of this. We could just arpeggiate the A minor 7 with the flatted 5th. I'll do it up here. Or with a different rhythm. Here's the last way to do this. Oops, I'm sorry. Flatted 5th. Again. Sorry, you guys. And then I was going to jump back up and watch. 2, 3, 4. 1, or I can go straight down. So let me go through the first, I'll play through the whole A section twice, and I'm going to observe these basic principles of sort of quintessential 2/5 licks where I'm dealing with these variations on having the 7th of each chord move to the 3rd. Remember, the 3rd is a stable tone. On C minor, you can noodle around on the 3rd. It's when you get to the 7th that you want to resolve to the 3rd of the next chord. Same thing, 3rd, sort of stable note. As soon as you hit the 7th, that means we're going here. And then same thing with A minor. 3rd, whatever you want to do. You won't have that much time. As soon as you hit the 7th, then we want to be here. 3rd, 7th of D7, then we're on G minor. So I'm going to do it from the top, and I'm going to pay attention to the fact that I'm not going to play much on bar 1 or on bar 4, and then I'm not going to play much on bar 5 or bar 8. If you take a look at that screenshot that you saved, I'm going to be mainly laying out on bar 1 and 4, really playing over bars 2 and 3, laying out on bar 5, and mostly laying out on bar 8 too. Here we go. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. A section again. 1, 2. I'll play a little. So the point is, once you understand how to make those points of motion, bars 2 and 3, and then bars 6 and 7, the focal point, you can play some on the other bars, bars 1, 4, 5, and 8. But those are as lead-ins. So if I'm playing 1, 2, 3, right, if the basic idea is I can play 1, 2, 3. Now I don't have to play that's B flat. I can play on the E flat if I want. But now I want to chill for a minute and get ready. Maybe a little pickup note, or one note, or two notes. I hope that makes some sense to you. If there's any questions, I'm going to pause for a minute here. And got a couple of folks listening. I assume Francesco's still there, a couple more. So if you guys have any questions at this point, feel free. I'm just going to chill because I know there's a delay here. And if you have anything you want to chat about what I've done so far, that would be nice to hear from y'all. So while I'm waiting, let me show you the second half of the tune. I'm going to go back to my screenshot and call up this chart. So, interesting thing about this song is that you'll note that the A section is two phrases, two 8-bar phrases, 2-5-1 in B flat to 4, and then 2-5-1 in G minor. So the bridge starts with 2-5-1 in G minor, so it's the back end of the A section, and then the front end of the A section. So it's just like the first, it's this followed by this. That's the bridge. And then this is the unique part of the bridge. Bars, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you've got 2-5 to G minor again. And then here's the sequence of 2 5s. Or we could call it an E flat major, if you want to call it. 3, 6, 2, 5. Maybe it goes to E flat, or maybe it just goes to A minor 7. Both ways are played. You can go to E flat if you like. So we're going to talk about that in just a second, how to, since we've really already talked about how to negotiate or how to navigate 2-5-1 in minor and 2-5-1 in B flat major, the only thing that remains is what the heck do we do with these chords going by so fast here. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's quick. How do we make sense of that? Let me take you out of the screenshot here in case you forget. It's G minor to C, F minor to B flat. 3, 6, 2, 5. in the key of E flat, or you can just think of it as a set of sequential 2/5s. Or as most jazz players would just say, it's just the cycle, or 2/5s down a whole step. Close that. So there's a number of different things you can do. The first thing you want to think about when you're playing G minor to C7, F minor to B flat 7, is the movement of the 7th to the 3rd on each 2/5. So on G minor, if I isolate this, so I have my root, my 3rd, and my 7th. 7th of the G moves to the 3rd of C. So I've got this. And then the 7th of F minor moves to the 3rd of B flat. So if I play that in time, and I'm just going to play bass notes in the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go to E flat major. Okay. A minor, D7, G minor. So here's G minor. There's the 7th, 3rd of C7, F minor. There's the 7th, 3rd of B flat 7. Now, like anything else in jazz, the theory is really simple. Just make this go here, just make this go here, right? Not too big a deal. But how do we make it sound musical? Well, that's all about phrasing and time. And I will come back to that over and over again, because the only thing that lets you communicate with your audience and with your fellow musicians is phrasing in time, right? Creating a groove with your melody. Playing good time is what jazz players call it. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The most basic way to do it is to move toward the and. Move to the and. So in this case, we'd say move to the and of 2. 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. A minor 7. That's a fast one. A minor 7 to the 7th to the 3rd of D, 7th of D to G minor. We might even leave the A out and just play the D7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the G minor though. So this is one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba, boo, da. Here's an embellishment. Right? I'm here, I go away from it, come back to it, then I move it. 7th, moving up, coming back, resolving to the 3rd. 7th, moving up, coming back, resolving to the 3rd. Shoo-ba-yoo-bam, shoo-ba-yoo-dam, shoo-ba-yoo-dam. Bam, shoo-ba-yoo-dam, shoo-ba-yoo-dam, shoo-ba-yoo-dam. How else can we embellish this? This is another one, Red Garland. A lot of bebop players, when they go to the 7th to the 3rd, they do a little what's called enclosure. So we're going to move from this note to this note by enclosing this note. So it sounds like this. So if you're trying to play that 2/5, just using those 3 ideas, or if you can keep those 3 ideas in your head, I'm sorry, I should have been showing you down here. This is the enclosure. F to E, but you're coming up chromatically. F minor to B flat, coming up chromatically. So here's number 1. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. So one way to practice to get those fluid is just to loop that. So we've got G minor to C7, F minor to B flat to E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Loop. The other one. Enclosure of that. mix and match. And then once you really understand those and you've got them in your fingers or whatever instrument you're playing, um, then you want to start to embellish those ideas. So instead of just, you could come to this note from above, right? So then we've got a one beat pickup or half a beat pickup, ba ya ba doo da, instead of just ba ba doo da. And in general, in jazz, starting from an upbeat gives your line more push. So you're fine to play ba ba doo ba, down, up. But if you play two ups, ba ya ba doo ba ya ba doo ba, this is about the upbeat. Okay, that pushes the line forward. We could do a 2/8 note pickup. 2, 3. We could do 3/8 notes. Okay, or going up. Chromatic maybe. I don't like it so much. How about 1, 2, 3? Right? So that's to some extent where the improv portion comes in. But let me just go back to my tried and true emphasis. What you're trying to practice when you're working on this stuff, and I really do mean practice, is many, 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 many repetitions of little bits of information, call them patterns, call them melodic ideas, that you gain control of. So when you get to this progression in the piece, okay, when you get to that spot, here's what you don't want to be doing. You don't want to be saying, wonder what I could play here. Wonder what I could play here. You've already done that work. You know that you can do this, expressed as or. Sorry. So you already have some stuff you've practiced to negotiate that. So then what happens when you're improvising? What are you doing at that moment? What's the actual task? And I would argue that the task is you're trying to play killer time. You're trying to just kill it, right? I mean, the bass player is walking, drummer is swinging. The one thing you don't want to do is be searching for things to play. Because what happens then in the context of a group where everybody wants to play time together, if your business is, I'm going to come up with something nobody's ever played before. To be really honest, nobody gives a shit. They want you to play something that you're in control of that's going to express the time and allow them to groove with you. That's why we practice. We want to get bits of vocabulary, patterns, ideas, melodies that we know work over certain chord progressions under our belts so that when we get to that moment where we're in an improvising situation, we can call on that toolbox or that whatever you want to call it, that bunch of repertoire of, not of repertoire, but of licks and ideas that we've stored away and that we've practiced and that we can kind of pull out effortlessly and play over those chord changes. Because then at the moment, to circle back around to this idea, at the moment our job is to play time with the bass player and drummer and to create a groove and to create a moment and to bring the audience into that moment, which is all about time, coherence, and being a unit, right? And if you have stuff meaning vocabulary to play, you can do that. If your concept of improvisation is, I always got to come up with something new, well, good luck, because it's all been played before. I mean, 90%, right? I'll give you 10% that you're going to come up with that's new or new combinations of things. But most of the building blocks, scales, arpeggios, 7/3 resolutions, even when you get into more advanced stuff, if we want to talk about altered chords and pentatonics and playing outside, it's still all been done before, right? Your job is to have mastered those bits of vocabulary and be able to call on them so that the bass player and the drummer smile because your time is so good and you're such a groove to play with, right? That's what's going to get you working and get you called back again for gigs. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hope everybody's gotten out of something out of this today. I'm just checking again to see. Still 3 or 4 people watching, but I haven't gotten any comments. So I'm just going to say, speak now. Hey there, Mr. Rodby. You were lurking and now you're in. That's awfully nice of you to drop by. Let me read Steve's question here. No dumb questions. Do I think of the collection of good notes as changing between the minor 2, flat 7, flat 5 rather, minor 7, flat 5, and the 5 between the, let me get this, between the minor 2 and the 5. Oh, do you mean, so if we're talking about A minor to D7, let me get my keyboard up. So Steve, are you thinking about going from A minor 7 flat 5 to D7 flat 9? Are you talking about whether I think of this note changing to something? I'm just not quite sure of the question. I'm sorry if I'm being dense. I think of the 2-5 as we're in G minor, but ironically, we're in G natural minor until the moment we get there. This is probably not your question, but it's worth discussing anyway. We're in G natural minor until we get there, and then we're in G melodic minor. Right? So this lick, which in G major, which is just diatonic, if we want to borrow from the minor, we play the flat 9 on D flat 7, and then we still get to major, right? But if we're in minor, we definitely use that note because we're in 2 flats. That is borrowed from the melodic minor, or I guess we could call it, and no, at this moment it's really harmonic minor. But as soon as I get here, and this wasn't your question, but as I said, worth discussing, as soon as we get here, I'm in G melodic minor. So I'm going to wait because the stream is so delayed. I think I'm on like about a 30-second delay, and see if you want to ask something else because I'm not sure I got it. Yeah, so I guess, right. So I'm thinking over the minor 2-5, I'm thinking G harmonic minor. So those are the 7 good notes. But for all the people who have not nearly as much experience playing music as you, I would just emphasize that the voice leadings of, and as I said, this fella, Bert, Ligon, really don't know how to say his name, he really emphasizes the notion of third as stable, seventh as tense leading to resolution, stable, tense, and leading to resolution. So for young aspiring players, the ability to really isolate this, then this going to here, stable, and then this going to here, and that these are merely connectors. That's why that's that melody, even though we may just know it as a G harmonic minor scale, even though it's a scale construct coming from playing classical, having learned the scale on our instrument, it's a voice leading pattern. And it's interesting because we've probably all learned the scale this way, which is just a scale. But when we play it in this context, it becomes a melodic unit that actually has a relationship to the chords, which as jazz players playing chord changes is a whole lot more useful than playing this. This has no, it has a tonal center, but it has no harmonic function, whereas this is inherently, this is literally a progression. Okay, I'll stop now. All right, I'm going to call it a day. We can talk later, Mr. R. But everybody else, thank you for being here. And I'm planning on doing this most weekdays around this time, this week and next week. Next week is my spring break, and I'm not teaching. So I'll be back here most Monday through Fridays through at least, I guess that would be April 3rd. And after that, we'll see. So thank you all. Tell your friends. And I'm totally open. If you want to leave comments after this is closed, I would welcome your comments. If there's any set of changes, i.e. a tune, that you'd like me to deal with, I would be happy to do that. It would be a lot of fun because I want to work on what people are interested in. So leave me any comments, tune suggestions, questions, and see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.